Welcome once again, students, to the class of Pricing and Product Decisions. This is your faculty, Dr. Shweta Srivastav, Associate Professor, School of Management, BBD University. So, students, in the previous lecture, I've explained you the process of linear programming. I told you that since in reality the organizations do not face the situation of single limiting factor, we have to somehow resort to the phenomena like linear programming. Single limiting factor can be easily dealt with CVP analysis, but if the organization faces more than one constraints, we have to use this mathematical phenomena like linear programming. So in the previous lecture, I told you the application of linear programming, how we create the mathematical model. It means how the entire situation is translated into a mathematical model so that we can take a decision. And then have explained you the how to solve it graphically, right? How we can plot the variables on the graph so that we can find out the optimum variable, optimum decision in the name of maximization of contribution or minimization of cost. So students, I'll be taking a few more problems so to explain once again how we can solve it graphically, and then I'll explain you what is the meaning of slack and surplus. I'll be taking up the same example which I have explained you in the previous classes of Robert Miles, and I'll explain you what is slack and what is surplus and what is shadow price, right? And in the next lecture we'll take up the same linear programming problem, but in that case we'll be solving with the help of simplex, right? So let us move ahead now. uh, First of all, we'll be exercising the same situation, that is we'll be once again understanding how to formulate the problem, right? Because we have considered only one example, so I'll be explaining you once again how to formulate the problem. So the situation says a small factory makes two components C1 and C2 and has the following constraints on weekly production. Operating time 240 staff hours, raw material 500 kg, raw material B 400 liters, right? So these are the various three constraints available, confronted by this small factory, right? So C1 uses 2 staff hours, 5 kg of A and 5 liters of B to make each unit, right? So this is the ingredient composition of product C1. Likewise, we have the ingredient composition of product C2. It uses 3 staff hours, 5 kg of A and 4 liters of B to make each unit, right? The contributions to profit from each unit of C1 and C2 are pound 150 and pound 100 respectively. It is known that all production can be sold. See students, once again we have to maximize our objective function because we have contributions, right? So contribution should always be maximized and cost should always be minimized. So let us see how the mathematical model can be created. So we have to maximize the weekly profit. So 150 pound we are getting from by selling of your product X1. See X1 and X2 we have given the names for product C1 and C2, right? So C1 will be X1, C2 will be X2. So as you can see that 150 pound is the contribution given by product C1 and 100 is the pound 100 is the contribution given by product C2. So we have the objective function as 150x1 plus 100x2. So what is our objective? We have to maximize this weekly profit. Now comes to the condition. So these we have to achieve this objective in the given condition. So these are the various constraints. So we know that as the question says that the availability of operating hour time is only 240 staff hours, right? So if we assume that we are producing x1 units of C1, so that will be 2x1 for C1. Likewise, 3x1 for C2, right? So the equation will go like this. 3x1 plus 3x2 should be less than or equal to 240. It means we cannot extend its supply beyond 250 units of labor hours, right? The same goes with the raw material, like this is raw material A and raw material B, right? So raw material A, the supply is limited to 500 kgs, and for supply raw material B, the supply is limited to 400 liters, right? So these are the equations: 5x1 plus 5x2 less than or equal to 500, then 5x1 plus 4x2 less than or equal to 400. It is given in the question how these two material A and material B will be consumed by C1 and C2. Now this is the non-negativity condition. X1 and X2 should be greater than or equal to 0, right? This is the non-negativity condition, right? So this is the mathematical model which we have to solve. So students, I hope by this time you are clear how to create a mathematical model. So once you have created the mathematical model, you can solve it either graphically or by using the simplex method. Now, students, we generally face the situation of multiple solutions. It means in the previous question you have seen that it is the point C which is giving you the maximum contribution, right? So we have only one solution at point C, right? But generally, because of different permutations and combinations, we've come across with situations when we have multiple solutions. It means you can have you can optimize your production process or any process by at two different points. They are giving you the same result, same you can say same composition, right? So let us see how it go about. So Greenfields is a family operated business that manufactures fertilizers, right? So one of its product is a liquid plant feed. So this is liquid plant feed into which certain additives are put to improve efficiency, right? Every 10,000 liters of feed must contain at least 480 grams of additive, 800 grams of additive B and 640 grams of additive C, right? Greenfields can purchase two ingredients X and Y that contain these additives, right? So this 1000 liters needs to have some additives, and these additives are present in two ingredients X and Y, right? So this information together with the cost of each ingredient is given as below. So as below. So additive A has 2 grams, needs 2 grams of additive A. Ingredient Y needs 2 grams of additive A. So likewise B 5 grams, 10 grams, additive C 10 grams, 4 grams. Now here you are seeing cost per liter, pound 25 and pound 50. So students, here we are focusing on cost. In the previous question, we were focusing on what? We were focusing on contribution, right? See, it is given in the question, you are given contribution, right? So contribution should be maximized. Now here in this question, it is given cost. So you should understand that it is the objective function should be a minimization function, right? Both ingredients require specialist storage facilities, and as such no more than 120 liters of each can be held in inventory at one time. So storage space in one another constraint, right? So in total we have four constraints, right? Additive A, additive B, additive C and storage space, right? So now Greenfield's objective is to determine how many liters of each ingredient should be added to every 10,000 liters of plant feed so as to minimize cost, right? So that is what I have told you right now. Step 1, as the objective is to minimize cost, where the total cost of additives in pounds for every 10,000 liters of plant would be X1 should be the number of liters of ingredient X purchased, right? And X2 will be the number of liters of ingredient Y purchased. So what is the activity here? Activity here is the purchase of ingredient X and per ingredient of purchase Y, right? So we have given it name as X1 and X2. Now the step 2 is to the formulation of model. The cost of liter is pound 25 and for y it is pound 50. Therefore, the objective function is to minimize 25x1 and 50x2. Right? So, this is what I have told you previously also. Now, if x1 liters of X and x2 liters of Y are added to every 10,000 liters of plant feed, then the total number of grams of additive A thus contained will be 2x1 plus 8x2, right? This is given here in the question. 2x1 plus 8x2, right? This should be added to every 10,000 liters, right? Similarly, for additive B would be 5x1 plus 10x2. For additive C, it will be 10x1 plus 4x2. This is what I have written here, right? So here is the inequality. So 2x1 plus 8x2 should be greater than or equal to 480, right? See, now you have to see that how the inequality has changed, right? See here, right? Uh, it is here that the feed must contain at least, right? In the previous question, you have seen the supply is limited to 480 grams. But now here in the question says that you have to minimum add 480 grams of additive A or 800 grams of additive B and 640 grams of additive C. So these additives can be increased beyond this quantity also, but they should be present at minimum at this quantity, right? So your inequality will not take the shape of less than or equal to, rather it will take the shape of greater than or equal to, right? So that will be greater than or equal to 480, greater than or equal to 800, greater than or equal to 640, right? So another will be, because of limitations of storage space, the x1 and x2 cannot exceed 120. So this is what I have written here, right? Now, step 4 is checking of non-negativities. X1 and x2 should be greater than or equal to 0. Now, this is the complete mathematical model for Greenfield's problem. This will the minimization function, and these are the various inequalities, right? So, I hope students it is clear. So, let's go ahead with the solution. Now, this problem can now be solved by the graphical method as described earlier. See, in the previous question also I have explained you how to find out the extreme points. Since these are strict inequalities, we can easily find out the extreme quantities, and these extreme points are joined together to find out a straight line, right? So in the first equation, by putting x1 as equal to 0, x2 would be 60 and x1 will be 240. Likewise, we have found out for the second equation also, x2 will be 80 and x1 will be 160. Similarly, x1 will be 64, x2 will be 160. x1 is equal to 120, no intercept on x2. x2 is equal to 120, no intercept, right? So, this is how we can find out the equation of 5 lines. One in the name of 2x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 480, 5x1 plus 10x2 is equal to 800, 10x1 plus 4x2 is equal to 640, and x1 is equal to 120, x2 is equal to 120. So in a graph we have to plot 5 lines, and then we will be finding the feasible region. That the feasible region again will be the area enclosed between these 5 lines. So this is how we have done. This is the line 120, x1 is equal to 120, this is x2 is equal to 120, right? This is 2x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 480. This is the equation 10x1 plus 4x2 is equal to 640. And this line is above for 5x1 plus 10x2 is equal to 800. See students, you can easily find out the values of the coordinates. So the feasible region will come out as R, S, T, U, B. This is the feasible region, which is actually you can say created by using these constraints, right? So now we have to find out at which coordinates R, S, T, U and V the cost is minimized. So we will be conducting the same exercise. So we'll be, first of all, we'll be finding the coordinates of R, then coordinates of S, then T, then U and V. We'll be putting the values of coordinates x1 and x2 in the objective function 5 times, and we'll be finding out at which point the cost is minimized. Now, the values of x1 and x2 or within the area shaded RSTUV will satisfy all the constraints of the model, right? Now, the next step is to put the coordinates of x1 and x2 in this objective function, right? So, point R has the coordinates x1 as 120, x2 as 30. See students, you can easily find out by looking at the intersection point. So R is the intersection point of two lines, that is x1 is equal to 120 and 2x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 480. So you can easily find out by solving the simultaneous equation, and it is actually x1 is imperative, it is 120. Now so you only supposed to calculate the value of x2, right? So this is how you can solve that. S is the intersection of two lines, x2 is equal to 120 and x1 is equal to 120. This will be the intersection of x2 is equal to 120 and 10x1 plus 4x2 is equal to 640. Similarly, V is the intersection point of 2x1 plus 8x2 is equal to 480, and this line will be 5x1 plus 10x2 is equal to 800. U is formed with the intersection of this line, that is 5x1 plus 10x2 is equal to 800, and this line will be 10x1 plus 4x2 is equal to 600, right students? So this is how we can find out the coordinates of R, S, T, U and V. Now, so this will give you the values of objective function. So at point R, the objective function will give you the value as 4500, x1 9000, S 9000, T 6400. Point U and V are giving you the same value. See students, since this is a minimization problem, we are not looking for maximum value, we are looking for minimum value, right? So the minimum value is 4000. So with this we are getting at 2 points where the x1 is equal to 40 and x2 is equal to 60, or x1 is equal to 80 or x2 is equal to 40. So the organization can go with either of these two combinations, right? So this is what we call by multiple solutions. See, the choice of the multiple solution depends upon the existing demand in the market, right? So when we have two or multiple solutions, we have to look into other factors also, like market demand, like you can say the management philosophy and all other factors, right? Government restrictions and all. So these all things we take into consideration when we have multiple solutions. So students, this is how we go about solving the linear programming problems graphically, right? So the next we'll try to find out what else can be taken out from these the results we are getting in the linear programming situation. Now, slack and surplus, right? So these are, you can say, the extended decisions which can be taken by solving with the help of linear programming. Now, what is slack and what is surplus? See, slack is the spare capacity and surplus is the you can say surplus production or surplus resource, right? So the concept of slack is concerned with less than or equal to constraints, whereas surplus is associated with greater than or equal to constraints. I'll be explaining you in detail. Now, see students, in the previous lecture, I have taken up the numerical of Robert Miles. I'm again telling you I'm taking up the same numerical so that you can understand it further. See, we were maximizing the contribution with the two products, pound 50 for product A, pound 70 for product B. So we have to maximize this objective function, right? So these two product uses three types of inputs, one in the name of machine processing time, then raw materials and labor, right? So these are the three constraints. Along with that, we have another situation where it means we have to produce at least 12 units of product B, right? So these are the four conditions under which you have to optimize, you have to maximize your objective function, right? Now, this was the mathematical model, students, which we have already understood in the previous lecture. So 3x1 plus 10x2 is less than or equal to 330. Students, I'm not going to explain you once again because I have already explained you how to create mathematical models. So this is related to your constraint number 1, that is machine processing time. Then we have raw material and labor. So their supply is limited to this quantity. So 16x1 and 4x2, this is x1 is the number of units of product A, x2 is the number of units of product B. Sorry. So these are the this is the total mathematical model. So in that question, the answer was at point C, where the number of units for A x1 was 10 and for number of units for product B was 30 units, right? So at this point, it means the contribution was maximized. Now students, let us understand what further information can be derived from this these equations. Now, this is what we have done, right? So, machine time will be equal to 3x1 plus 10x2 less than or equal to 330, right? So, if we are putting the values of x1 and x2 in this equation, what will we get? 10, 30, and we'll be getting as 330. It means 330 is equal to left hand side is equal to our right hand side. See? So this shows that we do not have any surplus machine time, so which can accommodate further production of x1 and x2. It means machine time is fully utilized, right? So this is what we mean. This means that in case of machine time, we don't have any spare capacity, or which is what we call slack, right? Now let us understand with raw material. We are again putting the same value for x1 and x2. 16 multiplied by 10 plus 4 multiplied by 30 will give you 280, right? So this shows that left hand side is not equal to right hand side, right? So raw material is available up to 400 kgs, but how much raw material we are consuming? Only 280 kgs. So this is the slack. We have a spare units of 120 units of raw materials, right? So this is what I call slack or spare capacity. Now let us consider labor also. So in labor also we have the right hand side is equal to left hand side. So it means labor, again we don't have any spare capacity. So it means it is only raw material which is left unconsumed by 120 units. That is what we mean by slack, right? Now coming to surplus. X2 should be greater than or equal to 12. It means it was given in the question that you have to compulsorily produce 12 units of B, right? It can go beyond that, but 12 units should be produced. But see how in the optimal solution, what we are producing 30 units. It means there is a surplus on the minimum production requirement for product B by 18 units, right? We are producing 18 units more of B or x2, right? So this is what we mean by surplus or slack. So that is what I have written here, students, that the slack is related to less than or equal to inequality, whereas the surplus is related with what? Greater than or equal to constraint, right? So here we see in all these situations we will face the situation, we will face slack or may face slack, because here we don't have any slack, here we don't have any slack, but in case of raw material B, we have slack of 120 units, right? But here we have x2, this is greater than or equal to inequality. So here what do we have? We'll be having surplus. This is what I have explained. So students, I hope you are clear with slack and surplus, right? So the next thing which you have to understand is the shadow price, right? According to CIMA's official terminology, shadow price is an increase in value which would be created by having available one additional unit of a limiting resource at its original cost. This represents the opportunity cost of not having that use of one extra unit, right? So I'm telling you, see, we are seeing that the machine time and labor is limited up to this much of unit, right? And we don't have any slack in that. So if we buy, and we know that if we employ 1 unit of machine time, the production will be improved and thereby your contribution will also be improved. So what this shadow price is actually the price given to buy 1 unit of your slack resource, right? So this will be your shadow price. This will be only applicable in the cases where you don't have any slack, right? So it can be applied in machine time and in labor. So whatever price we are giving for purchase of 1 unit of machine time or 1 labor hour, that will be treated as your shadow price, right? So let us understand with this same example, right? So we have seen that to how the shadow price is calculated. So 6x1 plus 6x2, we have bought 1 unit of say this unit where slack variable, right? The coordinates of point C, as I have told you earlier also. So what we are purchasing actually 1 unit of this labor hour, right? This is the equation which we are following, right? So we are purchasing 1 unit of labor hour, so that will give to 240 will become 241, right? So the new coordinates will be point C R. Point C will now be there. 6x1 plus 6x2 is equal to 241. Crosses 3x1 and 10x2 is equal to 330. So we'll be finding the new values of x1 and x2, right? So what we are doing, we are multiplying the equation 2 by 2, because if we are doing the same exercise, solving the simultaneous equation by cross multiplication. So this second equation when multiplied by 2 will give you 6x1, so we'll cancel it out. So the resultant will be what? X2 will be 29.93, right? This is what you can see the value of x2 has changed. So by putting this value, we can find out the value of x1, that will come out as 10.24, right? So the new equation will be z is equal to 50 multiplied by 10.24 plus 70 multiplied by, so we are putting the new values of x1 and x2 in the objective function. So this will giving you the value as 2607.1. So students, if you remember in the question, the objective function gave us the resultant as pound 2600, right? At point C, right? But you can see that the value has is raised by pound 7.10. Now this is what we call shadow price of a unit of labor, right? So this is the incremental value. By using one extra unit of your you can say limited or scarce resource, the contribution is increased by pound 7.10. So this is what is written here, is the increase in value, right? So this is the increase. So pound 7.10 will be your shadow price, right? So students, this is all for this lecture. We'll meet again with the another method of solving your linear programming by using the simplex method, right? See students, at all we use linear programming. We have understood that it is because the organization rarely faces the situation when it has one limiting factor, right? So when the organization faces the situation of one limiting factor, it can be easily dealt with the CVP analysis. That is the first part of your unit 2, right? But at the same time, I have explained you that these situations are very rare. So generally what we have to do, we have to construct a complicated mathematical model, and this is created by using the technique known as linear programming. The objective remains same as in the case of CVP also. We have to either maximize the contribution, or if it comes to the question of cost, we have to minimize the cost, right? So in the previous lectures, we have understood about how the linear programming equations can be solved with the help of graph. I have explained you how to create a mathematical model, how it can be solved graphically, and how what are the things known as you can say the terms known as slack or surplus, right? So we have understood that slack is related to less than or equal to inequality, and surplus is related to greater than or equal to inequality. See students, I am once again explaining you all such things because see it is another method of solving the linear programming equation, but the concept or the basics remain same. So we'll be understanding the entire process once again, but the technique will be different. In the previous lectures, you have understood how the linear programming equations are solved graphically, right? But sometimes it is difficult when we have more. In the previous questions, you have seen that there are only two activities or two variables, right? In the name of product A or product B, product C1 or product C2, right? But when the variables or the activities rose from 2 to more than 2, then we have to use, it cannot be plotted graphically because in graph we have only two axes, x and y. So in that case, we have to use the method known as simplex, right? So, but students, at the same time, you have to understand that calculating simplex is a tedious phenomenon. But a manager is not supposed to do the calculation. This is the computer age, technology is at its peak. So we should not undermine the importance of technology, and we have so many softwares which can easily calculate the values if equations can be, if the equations are given, right? So we are not going to explain you the process of simplex. That is not in the case, because as a manager you are not supposed to do calculations. Rather you have to understand the answers given by those calculations so that you can take a right decision, right? So this is what we are going to do in this entire lecture. Now, again, I'll be explaining you the entire phenomena with the help of example, right? So, I think in the previous question, you have saw that there were only two products, C1 or C2 or A and B. Now, here we have four types of products, small, medium, large and ornate, right? So, once again, let us understand the question well. So, Woodhurst is a furniture company that specializes in high quality products, right? Basically, it is a furniture company, so it is making four types of tables. The company can manufacture four different types of coffee table: small, medium, large, and ornate. Each type of table requires time for cutting of the component parts, for assembly and for finishing. So three types of exercises are being conducted on four types of products. So see how the situation is complicated. You cannot plot all these four things on, see these are four variables, right? Four activities, four products. You cannot plot all this complicated situation on the graph. So that is why we are using another method of solving linear equations, linear programming equations, that is simplex. The data in the table below has been collected for the year now being planned. Now, see, small table uses 2 hours of cutting, 5 hours of assembly and 1 hour of finishing, and it is giving you a contribution of 60 pounds. See, again students, it is contribution, so you can easily understand that it has to be maximized. So your objective function is of maximization, right? Now coming to medium size table. It will utilize 2 hours of cutting, 4 hours of assembly and 4 hours of finishing, and giving a contribution of pound 123. Large, 1 hour of cutting, 3 hours of assembly, 5 hours of finishing, resulting into the contribution of pound 135. The same goes with the ornate, 6 hours of cutting, 2 hours of assembly, 3 hours of finishing, and giving you a contribution of only pound 90. The capacity in hours, like the limited hours are available for cutting, assembly and finishing. So these are 3000 hours for cutting, 9000 hours for assembly and 4950 hours for finishing. So owing to other commitments, no more than a total of 1800 coffee tables can be made in any given year. So this is your another condition, that you cannot make more than 1800 coffee tables in a year. It means all small plus medium plus large plus ornate should not be equal to more than 1800, right? Now, also, market analysis reveals that the annual demand for the company's small coffee table is at least 800. It means you have to at least produce 800 units of small coffee table, right? Now, the company wishes to determine how many of each type of coffee table it will produce in the coming year to maximize contribution, right? I told you earlier also, since it is a given contribution, you have to maximize, right? So let us students, first of all, we have to find out the mathematical model. We have to find out the various, we have to find out the objective function with the conditions given. Now, the objective function is stated as let Z is equal to total contribution earned in the coming year from the production of coffee tables. So the quantities of the four types of coffee table to be produced are the activities of the problem, right? So see, here there are four types of activities. In the previous questions, you were having only two types of activities. So that is why it was easy to plot in a graph. But here we have four types of activities. So that is why we are using another method, simplex. So x1, x2, x3, x4 will be the number of small, medium, large and ornate coffee tables to be produced in the coming year respectively. Right? So x1 will be small, x2 will be medium, x3 will be large and x4 will be ornate. So the company wishes to maximize contribution. So the objective function would be, see students, I have not used a multiplication sign. Why the asterisk? So that you do not get confused between x1 and the sign of multiplication. So maximize Z is equal to 60x1, 123x2. This is the contribution given by small table. This is the contribution given by medium size. This is the contribution given by large size and this is the contribution given by ornate table, right? So this is your objective function. The quantities of the four types of coffee table made will be restricted by the limited availability of cutting, assembly and finishing time. Thus, there will be three constraints specifying respectively the amount of cutting, assembly and finishing time used up in production cannot be exceed that which is available. These are written as, now I think students by this time you are familiar, you are comfortable in creating these inequalities or equations. So we have 3000 of cutting hours. This is given here. So these are your three constraints, right? This is your limited availability. So 2x1 plus 2x2 plus x3 plus 6x4 will give you, should not be more than 3000. So we will be using the less than or equal to inequality. Similarly, 5x1 plus 4x2 plus 3x3 plus 2x4 should be less than or equal to 9000. Then again x1 plus 4x2 plus 5x3 plus 3x4 will be less than or equal to 4950. See, this is what we have taken from here. This figure means this figure plus this figure plus this figure should be less than or equal to 3000, should be less than or equal to 9000, should be less than or equal to 4950. This is what, and this is your objective function, right? One another condition, I told you that x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 should not be more than 1800, right? Next condition, x1 should be equal to 800, right? Then lastly, we have to check for non-negativity. It means sorry, it is written as x2. It should be x2, x3 and x4 should be greater or equal to 0. Why I have not kept x1? Because x1 is already covered in this non-negativity condition of x1 is already covered in this equation. See students, this is x2 plus x3 plus x4, right? So this is done by mistake. I'm sorry for that. Now, the complete model for Woodhurst problem is therefore maximize Z 60x1 plus 122x2 plus 135x3 plus 90x4 subject to these many conditions, right? So I hope it is clear students. Now, see students, I told you also that you are not supposed see calculating linear equations with these equations with the help of simplex method is very complicated. If you have read it in statistics, it is quite a complicated and lengthy process. But being a manager, you have to always go with the management by exception, or you have to focus on those areas which actually requires your attention. So time is very critical for a manager. So you are being a manager, you are not supposed to do calculations, rather you have to concentrate on decision, right? So please students, bear in mind that you are not to do the the simplex method. Rather, you have to understand the solution given by computer. In all the cases, the data is fed in the computer and the result which you get will be in this form. This is what you have to understand, right? So you have to interpret the solution given by the computer. Being a manager, you are not supposed to do the calculation, right? This thing you have to keep in your mind. So x1 is giving you, this is variable, this is value, this is relative loss, right? See, the values which you are getting here is actually the number of units to be produced. So students, you can see that here the x4 will be 0. It means there is no point in producing x4, right? So it means 950 units of x1 should be produced, which will give you no loss, and 250 units of x2 should be produced, and 600 units of x3. It means small, medium and large, but no ornate table should be produced, right? Now, this is what is written here. So, therefore, to maximize contribution in the coming year, Woodhurst should manufacture 950 small coffee tables, 250 medium ones and 600 large ones. None of the ornate coffee tables should be made. So this will give you the objective function as 1 lakh. The objective function will have the value as pound 1,68,750, right? So at this point your objective function will be maximized, right? Now, from our early studies of linear programming, if you recall that a slack variable is the amount of resource which will be unused in a specific linear programming solution, right? And I have also told you that slack is always there in case of less than or equal to inequality, and surplus will be there in case of greater than or equal to inequality, right? So in case of constraint 1, less than or equal to is refers to the cutting time. Its slack is 0, showing that all available cutting time is used. See, this is giving you here. I am coming here. This is slack or surplus. So, you see, I'll be coming to these two tables at the later stage. So, I'll be covering a value I have covered. I am explaining you this value, slack and surplus. So, for constraint 1, slack is 0. It means all the available hours of cutting are used. We had 3000 hours of cutting, so all are utilized, right? Now coming to equation, the constraint 2, that is of assembly time, right? So constraint 2 refers to the assembly line. This slack here equals 1,1450, and thus there will be unused hours of assembly in as 1,450. Thus assembly line is not a binding constraint because it is already present in abundance. Now comes to finishing time. It is again, sorry students, it is again 0. So we don't have any surplus for slack in case of the finishing time. So because slack is again 0. Now let us understand what inequality 4 says. Constraint 4 refers to the ceiling on the total number of coffee tables produced, that is equal to 1800. The slack is 0, showing that this ceiling has been met exactly, right? So if you get a total of this 950 plus 250 plus 600, you will get the same figure, right? So you will get 1800, that we have actually met this condition. So again it is 0, the slack is 0. Now coming to fifth condition, that was the greater or equal to inequality. It means in that condition we will be having in all these inequalities, we will be having the slack, right? Either slack or no slack. So in the first, third and fourth we have no slack, but in case of assembly we have 1450 hours which are unused. Now coming to constraint 5. Constraint 5 was related to the fact that we have to anyhow produce 800 units of small coffee tables, right? So you see, it has a surplus equal to 150. Now you can see the situation. It has a surplus of 150. Now see, how many units of small table we are producing? 950. So this situation is again, this condition is again satisfied. We are producing 950. So what was the minimum requirement? 800 units. So we are producing 150 surplus units of a small table. So students, I hope it is clear that how these two tables are interpreted, right? So students, that it is left with relative loss and worth. See students, I have explained you the shadow price in the previous lecture, right? See, the shadow price is basically the incremental value which you get after buying 1 unit of your slack variable, no slack variable, right? So see, we have three slack variables, right? We have zero slack variables like cutting time, finishing time, and your production of say small table, right? So this 9 and 21 and 21. So this word says that if you use one extra unit of cutting time, one extra hour of labor hour of cutting time, what you will get? Your contribution will increase by 9 pounds, right? So since this assembly line time is already in surplus, we already have slack. So that is why the worth is 0. This is already in abundance. So you're not supposed to buy. These three are in limited quantity. So this is a limiting factor. So we have to buy it buy if you want to increase our production. So if you buy 1 unit of cutting hour, your contribution will increase by 9 pounds, and that is the shadow price of cutting hour. The same goes with the finishing time. So if you buy 1 unit of finishing time, what you will get? Your contribution will increase by 21 pounds, right? So this is the shadow price for finishing time. The same goes with the you can say production of small tables. If you produce one more unit of small table, what will happen? What will happen? You will you will get the contribution increased by 21 units, right? But now the next quantity which we are left with is 48. Now what is 48? See students, we have understood that we are not supposed to produce any unit of X4. If you are going to produce even a single unit of X4, that is the ornate table, this organization has to confront with the loss of 48 pounds, right? So if you want to produce 1 unit of X4, what you have to do? You have what the organization needs to do? Organization needs to increase its contribution by what amount? By what quantity? It has to be increased by 48. It means the contribution should rise to pound 138. Then only you can produce 1 unit of X4, right? So I hope students you are clear with these values. So this is I'm once again repeating because you should understand how to interpret the solution. This is what you are supposed to do. So 950, 250, 600 are the number of small table, medium size table, large size table. This is the relative loss. It means if you are producing these many quantities, you will not produce any loss. But if you produce even a single unit of X4, you will face the relative loss of 48. So its contribution should rise to 1 pound 138. Then it will be feasible to produce X4. That is your ornate table, right? So all the cutting time, all the finishing time is utilized, and we are producing optimum number that is given, that is 1800 units, right? This your assembly time is in surplus. You have slack variable in the name of assembly time. This 9 and 21 and 21 are the shadow prices or the incremental values of contribution if you buy 1 unit of cutting time or 1 unit of finishing time. So students, this is all for this linear programming topic. So we will meet you. Have a nice time.